I have yet to discuss the destruction of the East Wing under the Trump administration, not because I don't care, and I think that very good points have been made about particularly the imagery of destroying a piece of the White House that has been historically occupied by first ladies. But I am having a lot of trouble with people that seem to be more moved by the destruction of the East Wing than they are of the disappearances of like real living human beings. And I am doing my version of the meme where it's like, don't make me tap the sign, and reading you an excerpt from Let This Radicalize You by Miriam Kaba and Kelly Hayes. Popular definitions of violence tend to include property destruction, but under these definitions, the destruction of property is usually viewed as violent only if it disrupts profit or the maintenance of wealth. If food is destroyed because it cannot be sold while people go hungry, that is not considered violent under the norms of capitalism. If a person's belongings are tossed on a sidewalk during an eviction and consequently destroyed, that is likewise not considered violent according to the norms of this society. Those destructive acts are part of the order of things. I've also been thinking about it in the context of J.B. Pritzker's decision to have the Illinois State Police at Broadview, a center of protest against ICE in the Chicagoland area. If, like me, you think that's ridiculous, here is the number that you can call to tell him that you think it's ridiculous. Because one of the things that made protests at Broadview genuinely extremely impactful until ISP was stationed there brutalizing protesters is that protest was extremely disruptive to the operations of the facility. And yes, that meant that sometimes people who showed up as protesters were getting tear gassed and shot with pepper pellets and sponge grenades. And we shouldn't have to be willing to bear that risk to demand that our neighbors have access to their Fourth Amendment rights to not be snatched up off the street without a warrant. But ICE was having to direct a lot of resources to the facility at Broadview, and now they have to direct far fewer resources because the Illinois State Police and Cook County Police are clearing roads and making it so that ICE can get in and out of the facility without ever having to confront any protesters, which is being pitched as for protesters' safety. And I think fundamentally misses the issue that the safety of protesters, that is not the safety of human beings. That is the most under threat right now. And I don't mean that safety of protesters is not under threat and that our First Amendment rights don't matter, because they fucking do. Also, being corralled into a quote-unquote free speech zone by Illinois State Police is not really protecting one's First Amendment rights. But the urgency of Broadview protest and anti-ICE protest broadly is not about, oh, we want to make our voices heard. It's about, we want to stop the federal government from fucking disappearing people. According to the rhetoric that comes out of Governor Pritzker's office, he supposedly wants to do that too. But when people are more concerned about the imagery of, what it looks like to have ICE tear gassing protesters than they are about interrupting ICE operations as they grab people across the Chicagoland area and disappear them to unknown fates, the point is being missed. We are surrounded by violence in this society, even under conditions that government authorities would characterize as peaceful, because violence has always been embedded in the norms and functions of this system. Priorities. Focus.